Hello, and welcome to episode 13 of the APB podcast. Now, the next couple of episodes are going to be a little bit special. We're going to be taking a look at the lore and story we've created that surrounds San Paro, the city that APB is based in. Now, to do this, we sat down with KitKat, who is the lead creative designer for the project, and asked him a few questions, put together some of the questions that you guys sent in surrounding the lore, and he put together a bit of a talk for everyone. It's worth mentioning at this point that there's no overarching story that the players will embark upon when they play APB. Really what APB is about players creating their own story. And they can do that in many different ways, obviously from the creative elements that APB has to offer, such as creating their own brands, creating their own vehicles, and their own real characters that they'll forge within the game. But obviously players will interact on a social level, which will enable them using the video recording functionality and the screenshot functionality to create their own stories.
My name's KitKat, or Stephen Hewitt if you prefer. I'm the lead creative designer on APB. Okay, so we've had a few questions about the sort of story lore in APB. People are quite interested to see the sorts of things that we're trying to achieve in the environment and in the game itself. APB has a lot of story material written for it. We've had various professional writers producing a lot of material for it. But one of the challenges of writing story for a massively multiplayer online game was to work out a kind of a narrative that you could put into a game like that without trying to lead players down one massive sort of long story trail. So there's not in APB there isn't really a sort of a massive meteorite about to hit Earth and all these massive things are about to happen. But there are very important things happening with the characters and the different personalities within the city, and the story itself sort of interweaves all those different elements together to create a sort of a joined up narrative. And if you follow all the different trails, then you start to build up a feel of the city itself and the people that actually live within it, and the things that they care about and the things that they do. For release of the game, there'll be sort of 4 major organisations that the players will kind of come in contact with. On the criminal side, there's the G-Kings and the Blood Roses, and on the Enforcer side, there's the Prentice Tigers and the Praetorians. The G-Kings are essentially kind of a gang of skater punks who've sort of lived and grown up inside the sort of financial area of the city, but they come from a small place called Gresty, which has really grown up in the shadow of the major sort of corporate centre, and their sort of home area has essentially been oppressed, crushed, demolished to the point that there's not very much of it left. So they've always been fighters. They've always been on the city streets. And what they're trying to do, I suppose, is now they've now got backing from a man called Arlen Benjamin, who's made a fortune through sort of garbage reclamation within the city, and he's now providing a lot of funds to back them, and I suppose in a sort of a populist uprising or a kind of a revolution almost. So while they are skate punks, they are also trying to fight, I suppose, for a change in the city. Arlen himself, is a sort of a rich industrialist, philanthropist, I can just about say that, and he, again has, I suppose, almost like his own take on kind of where he wants to take the city as well. For the Blood Roses, they're run by a man called Michael Simeone. He is a kind of an ex-mafia boss who's essentially gone state's witness and has changed his looks, so nobody really knows who he is anymore, but is now posing as a kind of a club entrepreneur. So the Blood Roses really are a group of very sort of wealthy kids who've kind of cultivated a very sort of debauched detachment, basically. They've risen out of the sort of underground club scene, in the sort of underground warehouse club scene in the waterfront, and spend a lot of their time doing a lot of sort of smuggling and things through the waterfront area. A lot of them are sort of crash and burn, kind of very, come from very wealthy families, trust funds, bored, got a lot of money to spend on clothing and the scene, and are using that to, I suppose, develop, a large sort of following, and are also using that to, fund their activities in crime.
So we'll hear some more from KitKat next week when he takes players through the Enforcer side of things and introduces you to some of the contacts and organisations players will be working for as enforcers in APB. Now don't forget, if you want to take part in the closed beta that's going on right now for APB, head over to apb.com and sign up. If you're lucky, you'll be chosen as a beta tester at this stage. Obviously, we're still in closed beta. It's very early on, so the numbers are increasing week on week. All that's left to say is thanks very much, and join us again next week. Bye-bye.